Hello everybody, XPGamesNL here, and welcome back to a new Fire Emblem Builder Advanced video, or Advanced, however you want to pronounce it. Welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at yet another topic that can be pretty detailed and in-depth and pretty technical. For those of you who do not know what FEBuilder Advanced is, this is a more advanced tutorial. If you do not understand the basics of FEBuilder just yet, if you're just a little off the level where you could do everything yourself, or not everything, but do the basics like creating characters, placing units, creating a map, if you cannot do that yourself, then please watch the other videos on this channel. Otherwise, I would like to invite you over to this video. Today we're going to be learning about flags. Before we dive into that, I do want to highlight something. I have got a little announcement, and I will repeat this a couple of times throughout the videos to come. I will launch a new series on the channel, which demands input from the community, from you as well. If you've made something, a hack, a Fire Emblem hack, which is like, doesn't have to be a full hack, it can also be something you made in 15 minutes, or something that at least you think I can show and analyze with you all. Please submit that to the email in the description and in the email in the comments, because if you do that, I will be able to analyze your work. I'll make a video on it, and we'll go over the things that I see in this thing, or in the hack you made, or whatever you submitted, and I will analyze it together with you guys, and I'll take a look at what is what I like about it, what you might be able to do a little bit better. I'll give some tips and feedback on it. If that sounds appealing to you, or if you're just curious to hear what I have to say about your hack, if you just want me to playtest it or something, I can do that as well. I will give feedback also in the style of hacking with FEBuilder though. Whatever it is, I will take a look at your hack. I will open it in FEBuilder as well. So yeah, you kind of, when you submit something, you kind of agree to the fact that I open it in FEBuilder, but if you want me to look at your hack, then please submit it in the to the email down below. With that all being said, today we're going to take a look at flags within FEBuilder. Now, flags are nothing more than a switch, basically. A switch can be on or off. The ROM, Fire Emblem 8 The Sacred Stones, or a lot of games work with these kinds of flags or with switches. What will happen is, if a switch is on, or if a flag is on, a flag is off, or a switch is off, the game will check at certain moments, which can be an event, it can be a turn. The game will check if a flag is on or off, and it will respond with something you have filled in. It is kind of like the checks we did the last episode in this little event editor. It's kind of like the checks. Only instead of if we check if a unit ID matches a unit, we'll instead check if a unit, or if a flag is set on or off. Now if we go to advanced editors, there is a really big list. If we type in flag, there's a really big list of flags that you're able to use in the game. Every single chapter makes use of flags, and with this little menu you can see exactly which flags are used. Every single flag makes use of the siege flag. The siege flag means, okay, end of chapter, done, we're done. That's the siege flag. And there's a lot of other flags in the game. There should be a list of them. If we take a look, is there a list of them? Aha, event flag namer. There you go. There's a couple of flags I wanted to take a look at, because they are interesting. Some are set by the game itself. Some are flags you can set yourself. And some flags, this one, like flag 7, I don't know. Those flags, I'll get to them in a bit. We'll go over because yeah, there's a lot of them. There's like a 100, no, not even 100. There's a lot of flags in here. This is hexadecimal. I do not know out of the back of my head what number this is. There's just a lot of flags. Anyway, what we will do is we'll go over every single flag. Oh no, There's also a lot of temporary flags, as you can see, a lot of extra unit appearance, a lot of chapter clears, a lot of global flags. There's a lot of global flags. We'll go over every single group bit by bit. If that is not of interest to you, then kind of a bummer, but I don't blame you. Then you can skip to the next timestamp. What we'll do is we'll start with flag 0. There is no flag 0. We'll go to flag 1. This is the battle quotes flag. The battle quotes flag is used for the dialogue a boss has before a battle with every single character. If we go to battle quotes, this little menu right here, this menu includes all of the battle quotes of every single character in the game, every single boss. The first boss, O'Neill, will tell any character in the game. Oh, that is something I said myself, but Burgett, for an example, will say, "Bah, what a wordless lot of curse I've been assigned." That is what he will tell every single character that attacks him. It is set to battle quotes, because every boss will say their generic quote once in a boss fight, and then they will never say it again, because they die afterwards at some point. But that is the battle quotes flag. Now, if you're curious, little sidetrack here. If you're curious, and say XP. But what if, like, let's say we have, for an example, Mir, or I don't know, let's see, Orson has a lot of battle quotes with a lot of characters, with Kyle, Ford, Ephraim, Seth. You also have Walter, who can talk to like Cormac and Joshua, and oh, actually not to Joshua, but Joshua can attack Kalag, and they will say something. Duessel can attack Figard, and that is a different flag. The battle quotes flag is for the generic conversations to always trigger it, and the temporary flags, which we'll get to in a bit, are flags that will be triggered on for something like this. I do not want to go too detailed, but right. So that is the battle quotes flag. That is what you use the battle quotes flag for, this first one. Defeat boss is as simple as it says. A defeat boss flag gets triggered on, so a defeat boss flag turns on when you kill a boss. The battle quotes flag will also turn on if the boss says their generic quote, so if you attack them for the first time. The defeat boss flag will also turn on if the boss of that chapter is dead. This is interesting because there's some chapters in the game, like Empire's Reach, where if you defeat this wonderful fellow over here, if you defeat Tsar, what will happen is the game will trigger this event, it will trigger the end event. It will finish the chapter if you beat the boss. It's a beat boss chapter. That's what the boss flag is mostly used for. You can also say and create an event that says like, oh, but if I defeat a boss, it checks if the boss is defeated. If the boss is defeated, what will happen is the game will flick that switch on, and I'll check if the boss is defeated, I'll ambush the player from behind. You can turn that on with the defeat boss flag. If the boss died, enemy reinforcements appear. It's just a suggestion. That's also how you can use this flag. Simple as bits, this is a flag that gets triggered when a boss dies. But now you might be wondering, or perhaps not, but I do want to mention this because otherwise you will never get it to work. If we, for an example, in Chapter 5, beat Tsar, this wonderful lad, if we beat him, what will happen is the chapter will end. But if you create a character that's like, oh yeah, I'm creating a character, I'm creating a copy of Tsar, and I label him as a boss, even if you beat him, you'll figure out, or you'll see that for some reason, even if you defeat Tsar, or whatever boss you put into place, the boss flag will not turn on. The reason to why that is because if we go to advanced editors and we go to death quote, that's battle quotes. I wanted to click death quotes. If we click on death quotes, you can see, hey, completion flag 2, defeat boss flag. This is something I had to figure out myself. The reason a chapter ends because you beat a boss, like Sar for an example, is because their death quote, the event tied to their death quote, will turn the defeat boss flag on. It is not the actual defeating the boss itself. It is their death quote. And I do not know if you've set a death quote before. I'd say set it to unconditional. You can even set this to chapter ID unidentified. So every single chapter, whenever Sar is defeated, defeat boss will be triggered. You can set that to any. It is set to the specific chapter, but you don't have to. If you defeat Sar, the defeat boss flag will turn on. If not, then you're golden, you're good, whatever. If you do not do this, if you do not turn this one on, or if you, you're not golden. What am I saying? You're not fine at all. What will happen if you do not do this? Then the defeat boss flag will not trigger. So if you have a chapter that is defeat boss, you can never beat the boss. You can never end the chapter. You're soft locked, or technically hard locked because you cannot go back in time in FE8. But that's how it works. So always make sure to, whenever you do a defeat boss chapter or something with a defeat boss flag, set an end quote. Or a death quote, I mean. Whew, that was a little bit of an interesting little sidetrack right there. It is important to mention though, because people will definitely fall for this. Seize flag, pretty simple. In every single chapter, there's an event. This one, the seize flag, or every single chapter that you can actually play at. So not, for an example, chapter 3A, which is the arena chapter, or 3B, doesn't have one either. Almost every single chapter you can play on has a end event that gets triggered once you do something. In the dungeons, it's defeat all, so a route. But let's say chapter 5, going back to that one again, let's say seize. So what will happen is whenever this is enabled, this gets enabled, or this flag gets turned on if you defeat the boss, because that boss triggers the event, turns seize flag on, boom, chapter end. Whenever you turn seize flag on, the chapter will stop and you'll go on to the next one. That's basically what happens when you have the seize flag and turn that on. Then we have the second background music flag. If we go to the chapter editor, you can go to this particular screen right here, and you can see player face background music flag 4 and enemy face background music flag 4. If this flag in this list gets enabled for some reason, because you turn it on yourself, because you have that in an event or something, or you turn it on via the cheat system, with the cheats and the emulators and stuff, what will happen is when this flag is on, so when this switch is on, the game will play the background music for the player and enemy phase, respectively. And that music can be put here. A lot of maps do not have this. Actually, the prologue has this. Are there any more chapters that have... Oh, I cannot see because it's too fast. But I don't think a lot of other flags or a lot of other chapters have that flag. It's not really that used. But you can do fun stuff with this. Like you can, for an example, create a part of the final map that when a certain enemy commander is defeated, then the background music will start to get a lot more hopeful, because we're closer to defeating the big evil demon. So yeah, that's what that flag does. We also have to defeat all the route flag. Name explains it all. This flag gets turned on when you killed every single enemy, and it's used in the dungeons I mentioned before, like Tower of Velny. If you kill every single enemy here, then the flag will be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll turn this on. This will get turned on, and what will happen is you'll win. That's how that works. This flag turns on when every single enemy is defeated, so if you want to make a route chapter, you'll have to work with this flag. Then we have these question mark flags. The game uses these question mark flags as temporary flags. Now, you probably asking what are temporary flags? That's what I'm getting into now. Temporary flags are flags that you can turn on at any point in the chapter via events, and they're mostly used for talking events, or they're used for ranged events that you only want to trigger once. But the beauty about temporary flags is once you turn them on, they will automatically be turned off if you complete, or they will automatically be turned off, yes, if you complete a chapter. So let's say flag A and B get turned on in chapter 11, and I go to chapter 12, then A and B will be turned off. So you can use a bunch of these temporary flags in your chapters, and you don't have to worry about them getting turned off, because that automatically happens for you. That's nice. Then we have Game Over. Game Over is fun because this is the flag that gets turned on if your main lord dies. Just like the enemy bosses having a death quote, you can also trigger characters to cause a game over by giving them the game over completion flag. So let's say, for an example, Mansell should be here somewhere, right? Is Mansell here somewhere? Yeah. Mansell is a character that you have to protect and that has to survive the chapter 19, Last Hope. If he doesn't, you get a game over. Tana apparently has something in... What does Tana have in... I think it may have to do with one of the three holy things, or some of the sacred relics. I don't know. Curious. But Mansell has to live. You can set the completion flag 65 game over if you want a character to have a game over condition for a certain chapter, in this case Last Hope. And if you change it to FF, it will be any chapter, and if a character dies in any chapter on any given moment, then it will be a game over. So that is the game over flag, and every single playable map, or most of them, this one, like, this is unused so it doesn't, but most maps do have a game over count and a game over event so that you can actually lose. Right, now let's take a look at the extra flags. This one is fairly simple. If you turn this on, the objective window will just disappear. Simple as that. Then we have extra unit appearance. If I go to advanced editors and go to extra unit, we will get a list of units that join. What happens is the game will at a certain point turn on these flags, because like, oh, for Kalak you beat the Tower of Valny or something, and the game will check, oh, you've beaten the Tower of Valny once, okay, then we'll turn this flag on. But what will happen is when this flag gets turned on, this unit will join your party, because if you click this, you'll get to the data of that unit, and that unit will basically join you. So if you want to fiddle around with your characters, you might want to take a look at these extra unit appearances. Keep that in the back of your head. That's what these flags are for. Technically speaking, these are not anything else than just bonus flag or global flags, which I'll get to in a bit as well. This is stuff that needs to be important for if you get back to Erica. If you after the route split, the part of the map that connected Erica to Johanna and Ephraim to Johanna, you will miss one because you picked only one route. These flags will then be turned on so that the world map corresponds and will also give you the paths that you missed. That is what these flags are for, just so you know. Then we have a bunch of global flags. There's a lot here, but there's also a lot here. What these global flags do is a global flag. You can turn that on, but it will never turn itself off unless you tell it to. So if you want to say like, Oh, let's say you have, for an example, an enemy boss that you do not have to kill in order to finish and complete a chapter. And you make that boss return in another chapter. Now, the only way they can return, of course, is if they're not dead. So if they die, you set like global flag 78 for the completion flag. If the boss dies, what will happen is that flag will be turned on. And if it's turned on, you can check on that in the chapter the boss would make a comeback. If it's on, he is dead, so we do not have to deploy him because he is dead, so you can replace him with a generic. On the other hand, if you haven't killed the boss, this flag will never turn on, and if it stays off, then you will be able to deploy that boss. Global flags can be used to you can turn it on, and it will never be turned off. So you can use it for a lot of different things. Unlike temporary flags, which can be turned off by the game itself manually, global flags will stay on permanently until you turn them off yourself. This is triangle attack dialogue. Anyone who does the triangle attack has certain dialogue. I think this gets turned off automatically at the end of a chapter. I do not know. This basically has to do with the triangle attack, not really that interesting. Then we have fought with the Demon King. That is important. The Demon King has a introduction cutscene when you first fight him. That will only play once. If you have fought him, then this flag will be turned on so that you don't get that intro cutscene again. There's another global flag here. This flag, suppress boss icons, does exactly what it says. Evaluation used in program code. This is something FE8 Japanese only, so I won't bother with it. Amelia's death. Somehow there's a flag for if Amelia dies. I do not know what it has to do with. We have tutorial flags. These will be turned on or off depending on whether you play on tutorial and easy mode. New departure flag. This one is an interesting one. This one will be triggered at the end of Chapter 8. And this flag, if you've watched the previous video, a if condition and a check will run. If this flag is set, then the route split will occur. If this flag is not set, the route split will not occur. This is because the route split and its logic are stored in Castle Freelia, which is also a chapter you will travel to at the end of Chapter 1. This flag is important for the route split. It needs to be on in order for FE8 Vanilla's route split to work. So if you want to keep that in, keep this in mind as well. This is important. World map initialize is like, I don't know, prologue stuff. Mulder became a join is a flag that checks on if Mulder and Vanessa have joined. Not really that interesting. Then we have a wave of global flags. I explained what those do. We have guide. If you read the guide, this flag will turn on, so it will stop flashing bright green. Not really that interesting. Most people don't do anything with the guide at all. So, okay. Read. Oh, that's guide. Sorry, I did not explain that correctly. Guide will let these guide thingies show up. So if you turn on defeat all, if you turn on guide defeat all, then this particular, the defeat all information will pop up in your guide. This is read. Once you have read that part of the guide, this flag will turn on and the item will stop flashing green so that you know that you've already read that. Hey, even more global flags. So there's a lot of read flags, la 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 la. Then we have a reference memory slot, and finally more global flags. Do not touch this, please. Do not touch this. That's a dumb idea. You best use a global flag and turn it on and off if you want to toggle between things. I do not recommend using this. This is unreliable because the game overwrites this itself. Here you're in full control with the global flags. Whew, there were a lot of flags that we talked about. So, I hope you now understand that a flag is a thing that you can turn on and off yourself in the game. So yeah, how are we going to implement a flag? I have a fun idea. We already have an event. Now this is a range condition. Instead, I want to change this to a flag condition, because we're going to work with flags anyway. We're going to do trigger flag, and we're going to do, what shall we do? What's a fun flag to set in order to trigger the event? Let's say we do the battle quotes. What will happen now is once O'Neill starts saying, "Oh, you Renee dogs, you scumbags," then the event will trigger. And completion flag A gets triggered so that this thing doesn't keep triggering. So technically it already doesn't, because battle quotes is a one-time thing. But luckily for us, we're preventing it from ever triggering again, just in case, with temporary flag A. The event itself isn't really correct. It doesn't work. What we will do is, instead of checking if the unit is visiting, we'll grab the menu, we'll go over here, and we'll check flag. You can take what you can do is, you can do two things, but this is the one we want. Check whether the flag is set. And we're going to check if flag... there is actually no flag that we should check on. What we'll just do is we'll check if flag... I'll just take a random arbitrary flag. We'll just do 5, and the event now will function properly. Why did I change this? I don't know myself. It's a bit messy, but now that you know that you can check on flags, I also want to show something else. You can also, with flags, because you want to turn them on or off, you can also turn them on and off by doing flag. You can, boom, turn one off, and you can turn one on. You can also do an if a flag is on or off, which is also really cool. That is also really fun. You can, oh hey, you can set escape. You can let characters leave and rejoin the party. Anyway, you can turn a flag on or off. Once the flag, if the flag is off, the event will trigger. If it's off, it will actually give me a Hoplon guard. If it's not, then it will instead give us a vulnerary. So that is what you can do with flags. The problem I feel like a little bit is like I haven't properly explained something cool that you can do with flags. I have a fun example from the Prophecy of Flames. There is a boss there that if you do not defeat him, a flag gets turned on. And if that flag is turned on, he will reappear in another chapter. That is basically why there's a flag and how the flags, and that's some things you can do with a flag. Just note that a flag is a switch that you can put in the game that checks if something happened or did not happen. You can even, if you're cool and snarky, do a sort of New Game Plus kind of idea with a flag. And I'm going on a sidetrack, I know, but you might say like, hey, let's say just global flag. Where's the global flag? I removed the flag menu. Event flag namer. There you go. Let's say we take global flag 012B, which is the exact same flag I took for the Fire Emblem The Prophecy of Flames. What you can do, for an example, is you could say, well, perhaps I will turn this flag on, and if I turn this flag on, when I start a new game, I give the player the option to start the game in New Game Plus. Do you want to start a new game in New Game Plus? And if they click yes, I enable another flag, and in every single chapter I play, I check on that flag, and place New Game Plus enemies on spots like that, or I do this, or I do that. So think broad. With global flags, you can even cheat the game itself outside of the standard levels and chapters. You can enable and disable things as you want. That's something I wanted to mention. You can do New Game Plus if you want to. You will have to set up a flag construction for that, but it's possible. Alright, so we're going to run the game. Beautiful. The game sound lags. Beautiful. Skip. So, what I'll do is I'll finish off these guys. I'll finish off this guy. Boom. And what we'll do as well is we'll kill this guy. And what we'll do now is we'll make... Can he reach us? Nope. We'll do this. And we'll make a save state real quick. So what will happen now is O'Neil will attack Seth. And currently, as you can see, not etc. but event. And as you can see, B is disabled. So we should actually get a Hoplin guard after O'Neil attacks us. Sick boss theme that's still left here because I did another tutorial. It was Filfert because for some reason Fire Emblem just... Wait, what? No way! Hold the phone. You can give enemies items if they attack you? What? No way. That is actually... That can make up for some fun stuff. Really? I did not know this was a thing. But this is kind of epic. You can, like, give a character a weapon if they initiated battle with someone else. Bro. O'Neil is now protected against crits. Bro, that's insane. I did not know that was a thing, actually. I learned something new. This is crazy. The reason why that happened, by the way, for those of you that are curious, the reason that happened was... Which one? That was this one. You give a Hoplin guard to active visiting current unit, and the one who initiated the battle was O'Neil. That's why he got a Hoplin guard. It doesn't matter anyway because Seth kills him, but if we load, and instead we cheat and we take this and we turn on flag B. So normally if Erica was like, oh, I'm going to step on this, and then flag B activated, then you can do something like this. And now what will happen is Erica will get the vulnerary because I gave it to Erica instead. But that is insane. I did not know that that is how that worked. Wow. But basically that is all there is to the tutorial. That's all I have to say on flags. This was an interesting video. I didn't really expect to see this pop up. I learned something incredibly interesting, something new. I never saw this coming. This is sick. This is amazing. I do not have anything else to add. I do hope that I explained flags properly and you understood what I told you about flags. If that was the case, be sure to press thumbs up on. If you didn't understand it enough, then go to the comments. Any comment left down below would be appreciated because it also helps the algorithm find my videos more. And be sure to subscribe to not miss anything else of this video series. With that all being said, I'm XPGamesNL. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys all next time. Goodbye!